right, hello and welcome to Youth Assembly. It's been a long break, but yes, we are here to do what we know how best to do, tackle issues as it happens in Nigeria. And one issue we're tackling today is the drug crisis currently in Nigeria in terms of drug trafficking and drug addiction amongst Nigerian youths. My name is Sylvia Ishebe, and when we say it in Nigeria, happy Tuesday. Okay, I am not alone today. I am with Mr. Ale. Mr. Ale Odiame, and Mr. Ale is a public health practitioner. Welcome, Mr. Ale.
Good morning. Good morning, Sylvia.
Okay. All right, and I'm also with Mr. Innocent Okafor. Mr. Innocent Okafor is a security expert. Welcome, Mr. Innocent.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, good to have you. So we're all Nigerian youths, and so this relates to us, looking at how the drug trafficking and addiction amongst some Nigerian youths can be tackled. That is our focus on today, and so it's going to be interactive for everyone watching and listening on our website, on our Mixlr app, on the Mixlr app, and also right here on Facebook or on YouTube. Please be free to drop your comments, and if you have questions for these guests, you can drop. So a little background into what is happening in Nigeria. It has become a trend. Every time you open the news, you see an issue that relates to drugs. Some people have been arrested for selling drugs to school children. You see the issue of school children in their uniforms smoking drugs and the likes of it. So many of these things have come up, and the NDLA has come up also to say that they'll be testing Nigerians. Yeah, can you hear me? Yes, they'll be testing Nigerians for drugs. Is that okay for you? Well, we will answer that question. Now, according to the National Drug Enforcement Agency, no fewer than 2,000 suspected drug traffickers have been arrested in various parts of the country in the last 3 months. Now, the NDLA chairman, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, added that over 300 convictions have been secured and illicit drugs worth 75 billion naira have been seized within this period, 3 months under review. So what do we do as a nation to tackle this issue? Why are Nigerians still trafficking drugs even when they're aware of the laws that are against us? Let me start with you, Mr. Ale. In your field of work, have you encountered, what have you done or with youths, Nigerian youths who are addicted in drugs?
Okay. First, when I was in Ibadan, there was a particular research that was done to find out what is leading to the dependence on drugs by the youth, especially those that are in the suburbs of Ibadan. And we got to find out that a lot of the things that they were doing was as a result of their being either idle, not going to school, and also the fact that they were affected by peer pressure. So this eventually led to them using drugs and even experimenting with it to even start with, because a lot of them would naturally not do it, yeah. But because of peer pressure, the wanting to feel among their peers and not feel like outcasts, that's why they eventually get hooked on drugs. And we also got to see that it is as a result of trying to give them something else to do that would take their time off drugs. They eventually got to reduce the dependence on drugs that they had, and the fact that they were not idle made them able to focus on other things, because initially drugs was really killing them, in that they were not having adding anything added value either to themselves or to the society. They were what you consider as miscreants, just creating a nuisance to the society. But if you eventually engage them and give them something to do, especially those in the suburbs that don't go to school, don't have a means of livelihood here, even the small money that they get, they eventually use it to purchase drugs. So our work that time was to find out the reason for their dependence and see ways in which we can actually tackle it.
Okay, now you've mentioned some of the reasons why some Nigerian youths are addicted to drugs, peer pressure, and the likes. But you also mentioned that when they do that and the addiction gets out of hand, of course, addiction, they can become a menace to the society. Now, Mr. Wina Sentokafo, you're a security expert. What does that drug addiction do to the society as a whole, especially Nigeria, as we look at it? Mr. Innocent.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
okay.
Drug addiction and yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah, drug abuse, it's actually an issue. You know, possibly most of the criminal cases we've handled and most of the criminal cases that have been indirectly involved with or involved trying to like unravel is as a result, as in 70% is as a result of excessive drug intake or drug abuse. Because most of this, like he just said, peer pressure. Some of these youth will naturally not do some things that they would want to do or they are forced to do. But if their friends or whatever or their peers make them engage in drugs, they don't see any need to contemplate about it. They just go ahead and do it because on some part, drug has its own influence on you. And when you take these drugs, you're no longer the one in control of yourself. You see yourself doing exactly the opposite of who you naturally are.
Yeah.
So most of these things, but majorly, I think I'm looking towards the parental care. The family has a major role to play in this. The family has a major role. Some people who started drugs, even in the South, when we were still in the South, started it as a result of parental ignorance. Some of them
What
maybe
do you
because
mean by
their
that?
parent does not care about them. Yes, when parents are too busy chasing the money and never had time, because as a teenager when we were growing up, there's this time you needed somebody to talk to. You need somebody to just listen to you.
Mhm.
But all parents do is pay school fees, buy you clothes, and that's all. And they don't want to hear you out. When you're even bringing up an issue to let them know that this is what you are going through, they will just start shouting at you that this is not why we sent you to school. Focus on your book and all that. And somebody has not heard you. So most times depression sets in as a result of whatever you are passing through. And when you meet one or two of your friends who are still teenagers too, who are also involved in maybe drugs and all that, they start telling you, just take this and your worries will be over and all that. Just feel good. And you notice that the time you take these drugs or this alcohol, whatever it is, you feel different from the way you usually feel. Sometimes inferiority complex can lead to it. You start feeling different. You start feeling a little bit higher than others. So as a result, it becomes a way of life. So parental care is actually needed here. A parent that is very cautious of the children will know when a child start acting different from the way it usually acts. Will
Mhm.
observe the child, want to speak with that child. So I think for me, yes, it is good to look at it from other angles. But first of all, we need to start from the family itself. Parental care. It's peer influence is very important. I know that peer group is a very, very serious issue. But let's check it also from the parental angle. If the parents can actually do what they need to do, at least the peer group influence will be reduced to a minimum. But first of all, let us see from the parental care. Thank you.
All right. Care is needed at this point, according to Mr. Innocent Okafor, security expert. If parents are not involved in the day-to-day life of their children, you know what you get. Some of these issues. Okay, Mr. Allen, back to
Yeah.
you. So, looking at students in school, we saw the video. I don't know if you saw that video. Students in school uniform smoking. I don't know whatever it was they were smoking, but the smoke was everywhere and they were having fun. And somebody, maybe an adult or maybe a fellow student, videoed them. How do
Yes, all
you
right.
think this can be tackled? And then another one, they arrested a couple who were selling cookies to students in school. So how can this be checked, especially in secondary schools, where this thing it looks as that's where it starts. Peer pressure comes, and then the addiction begins.
Okay. First of all, I like I said, it's the thing is the person that was even making that video to, if it's except it was maybe their peer, if it was an
Mm,
adult, that person really needs to be checked because that was shisha they were taking. And
mhm.
a lot of people would say shisha is not addictive, shisha does not contain um, psychoactive substances. But
Exactly. I saw some of those kind of comments in.
yes, yeah, I saw that. But it actually does, and kids of that age should not even be trying drugs at all. You get, I could guess there's classes. The most the oldest may be maybe at SS1 or SS2. You get, so the fact that they are that age and they're exposed to these things is even wrong in itself. So for it to be curbed in secondary schools, I think a lot has to do with both the school management and as the other speaker said, also their parents. But I think the school has a very important role to play. Once you identify people that are students that are bad influences in this regard, you take action to make sure that they do not have an effect. They say one bad egg spoils the whole eggs eventually. So that is if it is left in that bunch. But if you take out that particular egg and address the situation, then it doesn't get to affect. So these ones that are identified as the ones who are bad influences when it comes to drugs, the ones sneaking in with drugs, with cigarettes or whatever psychoactive substances, once you identify them, address this issue with their parents so that it doesn't get to repeat itself. To tell you the truth, a lot of these things will still be smuggled into the school one way or the other because adolescents will be adolescents. Adolescence is a time when you try, people tend to experiment things, both with sex and drugs. But it is very important that once it is noticed, it is curbed to the barest minimum so that it doesn't spread.
Okay, you mentioned that there are some substances that shisha contains, harmful substances. If you can elaborate on that so that people will understand these things and not just give the excuse that, oh, it's not harmful.
Yeah, it's when shisha is made of flavors, you get, but it also has nicotine in it. You understand? It also has nicotine. So depending on the flavor that you get, some will tell you that it's just flavor, but the fact that you take it and you feel some kind of high after taking it shows that there's something in it that is not okay and that can lead to dependence if you continue taking it. You understand? So that is why it is very, very important that even as small as shisha as people consider it, is something that we want to be careful, especially when it comes to the youth, when it comes to adolescents. Adults may be able to control their use, but adolescents are people that are very impressionable, and at that impressionable age, they can take up any habit whatsoever.
I've actually had somebody say, "Oh, it's just like taking coffee." I have caffeine.
Yeah,
but
that
coffee.
that is there are various, yeah, there are variants to it. There are even the ones that they spike with weed, you get, but you would not know if while you are taking it. So except maybe it's your own, but once it's you get to a party or you get to a place and people are taking it, you don't know what it is you are taking actually.
Okay, Mr. Innocent, back to you. Are you here now? Okay, Mr. Innocent, back to you. Are you here now?
I can, yeah.
I can hear myself.
Go ahead.
I can hear myself.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So to the trafficking part, all right. Also, seen it make the headlines. So let me finish saying it. I know you can hear me. So when I'm done talking, then I'll bring you back in to respond to my question. I hope that is okay. Okay, so we've also seen it make headlines where traffickers are arrested at airports and then they are made, they're arrested and then they create some pellets of cocaine or whatever it is, heroin also. And then you wonder, why is it that these people don't get it? The arrest is made public and still people still go back to do these things. The health implication of this issue and also to the society as a whole. I would like you to react to that. How do you think NDLA can go about this to check it? Is it as if what they're doing is not enough? Because every time you go to the news, it's still there. People are still trafficking. How can drug trafficking be tackled? Mr. Innocent.
Okay, I can hear you. I I think sometime around last 2 weeks ago, we saw on the news a young man that was sentenced to death in one of these Asian countries. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, is from the eastern part of the Nigeria state as a result. And now this is made public for everyone to know that this business is not good. It's not lucrative as people think it is. Of course, if a lot of them had made a lot of money, a lot of them has built houses and all that, but this thing is dangerous. It destroys the nation. It destroys the youth, especially the youth. Now, one of the ways from a security angle, one of the ways I believe government should do something about this, not just government, NGOs, schools, information dissemination. That's one of the ways to tackle drug abuse or drug crisis. Information dissemination, whereby there is an increased knowledge of related issues of tobacco, drugs, and all that. The adverse effects. That's number one. Number one. Number two, there should be prevention education, probably in
Mr. Innocent.
I won't call it. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was a member of a drug-free club in SS2. I remember from SS2 to SS3. I was a member of a drug-free club, and one of the things that club did to my life is to actually keep me away from drugs, because I attended one of the most I don't know, in the south, where there are a lot of bad guys. Anybody who schooled in Edo State will know had a lot. In fact, this drugs was a common thing there. But a drug-free club was instituted in that school.
Yeah. Starlet, can you hear him?
No, I can't.
So I get what he's trying to say. So introduce this club activities to schools, not just club activities. Okay. So let me just keep him. Okay, he's out. All right. So introduce this kind of clubs, drug-free club, like he said, suggested in schools, and then it will help educate or raise awareness amongst students who also grow up to be adults and stay away from drugs and drug trafficking. What do you think, Mr. Ale? Hello, Mr. Ale. Okay, so before they come back in and join us, it's Youth Assembly, and yes, we're asking the question: how can drug trafficking and addiction among some Nigerian youths be tackled? It's been an issue for so long, and data has shown that it keeps increasing by the day. And the recent data we have here is that the early boss, Bugamarwa, said insecurity in Nigeria will reduce if drug abuse is checked. He went ahead to give statistics and said the Southwest has 22.4% of cases in Nigeria, the South 16.6%, South 13.8%, Northeast 13.6%, Northeast 13 Central 10%. Mr. Innocent, are you back now?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay, so whose responsibility is it? Okay, so whose responsibility on the danger of drug trafficking? In Nigeria. I know you mentioned about schools.
Hello, come again.
Raising awareness. Who else has raised awareness?
Okay. Like I said before, the school has its role to play. The government has its role to play. The government has to look at environmental approaches, to reduce the risk factors in drug abuses. The government has to make it unattractive. Have to make it drug abuse has to make it unattractive by what? By arresting and prosecuting offenders. When somebody is persecuted for drug intake or drug abuse, others start learning from it. Because we see people who do these drugs and still live the life they want to live. And other teenagers who are coming up, other youths, model after these persons. And when they model after these persons, they see it as a way of life. And they want to also feel like this person. But when this person is dealt with, other youths that are coming up, other things that are coming up. We'll learn from it. We'll know this is not the right path to toe. That is one. Comings the door. This is not our way. You know, when the entire community stands up against drug abuse and hands over offenders to the law enforcement agents, then you will see other youths coming up in the community. We also avoid it. Trainings should be done. This is why I also said the NGOs has a part to play. The government has their part to play. The community has their part to play. Basically, majorly, family. The family, which is the first social social factor for a child, has its part to play. The problems of this drug abuse should be identified first. When it's identified, the consequences should be made public. This is why I said information dissemination should also come out. That's why we have the national orientation agencies to also do more of this, you know, orientation and sensitization. That way, you reduce the effect. We know we have a lot of these things coming up, and if you check, it's becoming high now in the part of the northern youth. It's becoming high drug intake, and this led to the reason why the government had to ban this syrup, this codeine syrup. And do you know, as I'm talking to you right now, it's still on sale. It's still on sale. But if you go to most of these shops, you will ask of it. They won't give it to you. They will tell you they don't have it, but they have it. They're not the people they sell to. So this is really, really, really an issue. Everybody has to put their hands on deck. Imagine a criminal case that happened sometime around last month in Abuja here. When these guys were arrested, we trailed them to their hideout. We found a huge number of drugs, marijuana, name it, all sorts. This to tell you that these guys are being influenced, highly influenced. They might have an intention to do something bad, but the morale is not there. They had this fear. The truth is this: drugs kill fear. Yes, you know this is wrong. If I do this, I'll be arrested, I might be shot, I might be killed. But once you take the drug, it tells you go ahead. The drugs help them to tackle fear. So they then the consequences and move on with it. So there's a whole lot for us to do, especially the importers or dealers of these drugs. If they can no longer be dealers of these drugs, and the drugs is being released in society to or no amount or minimum quality, you will notice that drug crime on its own part will reduce drastically. That's just how I see it. The dealers need to be, dealt with. The government need to go after these dealers. As I'm telling you now, there are places the police will bust.
Community needs to come together to tackle
exactly.
Because they know these bad guys.
Community knows. They know these dealers. Exactly. Community knows these dealers. And when police goes there to arrest these dealers, after a week or thereabout, they settle them and they are back to business. It's not like the police, our police officers, they are good ones and they are bad ones. They are good ones who are doing everything to mop up or take up these drugs from our streets. But the bad ones will still go and give them the go ahead. After settling them, they'll go business. Even those that buy these drugs always want to know where there is protection. The consumers of these hard drugs, marijuana and co, seek out for protection before buying the drug. So they want to know the area that or the dealer that settles police very well, so that they will not have issues with the police. Because police usually swap in there and pick everybody. So when they know that this dealer settles police and police can hardly come here, or they only come, you see police coming there actually. They always come, take their percentage, and they leave. It is happening. It is still happening. Even till tomorrow, it is happening. Police go there, take their percentage, and leave.
So the NDLEA boss, clarity we're witnessing in Nigeria can be refused. Can be refused. Let me bring in Mr. Alex. Mr. Alex, whose opinion on this issue? How to tackle it? The insecurity in Nigeria by reducing drug abuse. Do you agree with the NDLEA boss?
Yes, because as the other speaker has said, a big reason why crime is on the increase is because of drugs. As he said, taking drugs takes away the fear, takes away the restraint that you have to want to not do something. But once, as something that you know is wrong, but once you have taken a psychoactive substance, it makes you believe that you can do and undo. And if these drugs are tackled, yes, the young people would not engage in criminal activities anymore. And a very important fact to know is that these drugs, drug abuse, drug misuse, is a very big public health problem, very very big one, because it affects the productivity of the youth. They would otherwise have been carrying out productive activities, finding a way to better society, improve the economy, but because of drugs, they believe they have to engage in unwholesome activities. They have to engage in illegal activities because they are also taking illegal substances. So it is very, very important that we try to curb this drug abuse issue in the country, as it would lead to productivity among the youth.
All right. Before you go, what do you think about the NDLEA coming up with the idea of compulsory drug tests to every Nigerian? Do you think this will help solve the issue we have at hand?
Yes, while it might help to know those that are actually abusing drugs, it might also be an issue because people would now feel that they are under scrutiny and unwanted attention and all. But I think that especially for those who are traveling through the airports, the seaports, it can be compulsory so that we know if they are bringing it in or taking it out. You get, so that at least we'll be able to curb the flow of these drugs, because once you can cut the pipeline, as it were, as to how it is coming into the country, especially for those that are not made in the country, then you will be able to curb the dependence and the drug abuse among the youth. Because to tell you the truth, the money and time that they would have been using to do other things, that is what they invest
And
in these
time that
substance things.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Ale. Very insightful, your contribution. But before
Thank you so much, Mr.
we
Ale.
go,
Very
Mr.
insightful, your
Innocent.
contribution. But before we go, Mr.
Mr.
Innocent,
Innocent, I would like you to respond to the question if you think the testing every Nigerian on drugs is a good approach in solving the issue we have at hand.
My mic is
Can you hear
muted.
me? Go ahead. Okay. You're muted. You can unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay.
Unmute yourself, please. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it is a very nice approach, but you know how things are done in this country. That will eventually turn out to become an avenue to siphon money again, and it will not be executed logically. It will not be done logically. Now, factors that I'm in support of testing, in fact, testing every youth, especially those in the universities. Those in the universities needs to be tested. Those in the secondary schools need to be tested. My problem is not carrying out this test. My problem is, would it be done logically? Can it be done holistically? Or will somebody not see it as an avenue to witch hunt others or to siphon money from the government? This is just the issue. Carrying out this test will help a lot. It will help us to identify those who are actually drug addicts. Then probably, do we have the necessary facility, maybe like a rehabilitation center, to work on these persons? It's not just testing to find out that this person is a drug addict, but where is the rehabilitation center we have? If we have any of these centers, is it operational? Who and who works there? My issue is not if yes, it's a good approach, but would it be done holistically? That's just my issue. Do we have enough centers to rehabilitate these persons? Even if we have the centers, to who and who will work there? Would government not abandon this project as time goes on? So there's a whole lot. For me, I think I support the approach. I support this submission, but we know our systems in Nigeria. We know how it could be. So that's just my own take for this.
this time around. But thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you
Idris,
so much, Mr.
is the security
Idris.
expert.
Is the security
It is nice
expert.
having you on the show
It is
today.
nice having you on the show today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And to you also, Mr.
And to you also, Mr.
A public health practitioner, thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Please, can I quickly say?
Okay.
Yeah,
Stay.
yeah. I want to quickly
Okay.
say that it is important that we know that the determinant of drug abuse among the youth first is their age. Remembering that they are adolescents, they are in a stage where they are curious and would like to experiment stuff. Also, the fact that they are influenced by peer pressure. So, families, parents want to know this fact and know that it's not just about beating your child when you realize this, but talking to them and finding active ways to make sure that they desist from doing this. Then communities too also play a strong role, because you can imagine communities where these drugs are being sold and manufactured. They are dependent on it for economic reasons. But when these communities they get to realize that it is also affecting their youth, then I'm sure they will want to do something about it. You understand? So intervention strategies would also involve the schools, their peers, and the family, making sure that they do all they can to address this issue. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Alex. We appreciate today on the show. We hope you have a fantastic day, gentlemen. We'll see you
have a
fantastic
fantastic
time show time, I
men.
presume.
We'll see.
Okay. So my name is Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Click Naija today. Youth Assembly is the show, and we click Naija today. Trafficking can be tackled in Nigeria amongst Nigerian youths. Thank you to those who watched on our Facebook, YouTube, and also on our website www.clicknaija.net, and on MixLR app we are on Click Naija. We'll see you soon. But for now, take care of yourself and please stay away from drugs. My name again, Sylvia Ishemi, and this show was produced by Hafsat Isa. Bye for now.